What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to give you an overview of some of the current data points, break it down on what came out associated to the company itself, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Lucid did have a pretty epic day, went up 3.44%. Very volatile though, so it did have 260 the low, 271 the high, and a fair amount of volume. So 21.3 million shares being traded, 22.1 is the average. You can already tell something was going to be up today because before the market did open, it had a very abnormal spike to 279. And that was before any news, nothing like that. So it definitely stood out. And ultimately there was no news today, nothing official of course, but unofficially there was two things that did come out. One of which was this. So I've been anticipating this for such a long time. Ever since Ronaldo did get signed in Saudi Arabia, logically it would make sense to sign him as a sponsor or something along those lines. That didn't happen yet. Hopefully it does, but needless to say, him being seen in an era, I think that's kick-ass news. So no matter what, if you're a Messi fan or a Ronaldo fan, this is epic. And I feel like this actually does open up Pandora's box because Lucid is very bad at marketing and they do really rely on just word of mouth. So hopefully they do actually sign, I don't know, Ronaldo, and obviously the Euro is coming up fairly soon, right around the corner. So I feel like that as well would be a very good marketing aspect for Europe with Lucid. So again, I think it just opens up your eyes for the huge opportunity that Lucid does have in front of them, and a lot of big icons such as Ronaldo that can, I think he has, 50 million followers or something crazy like that. So I think that's fairly good stuff. And in my opinion, I actually like this news more than the other point that came out. Some people might disagree with that, but let me know your thoughts on that. So when it comes down to Peter, so Peter did have a quick chat and he did actually say, because of, I guess, some innovations that have been happening behind the scenes, they will be able to, by the end of the year, have roughly about 5 miles per kilowatt hour. So that does equate to about 560 miles of range versus the 516. So yeah, I think that this is amazing news. Still, I think the Ronaldo news might be a little bit better, but that's just me. I'm a soccer/football fan, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Some people like the technology, which obviously this is very suiting. So you kind of had 2 for 1. So one of these pieces of news clearly caused this nice bump up pre-market. But I feel like this is still laying the foundation for something very good for Lucid. Aside from that, shorts did return 1.1 million shares today. 30.79% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 267.04 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average has actually dropped quite a lot over this last couple trading days, but 75.68%, and then utilization is 100%. Just want to draw your attention to this as well. Does indicate around 100,000 shares is available to be shorted. So kind of running out of ammunition somewhat. Take that with a grain of salt. And even looking at this teal line right here, shorts did return quite a lot throughout the day. And with their earnings a couple days past, I'll give you an overview of some of the recent analyst ratings. So there was only 3, which in my opinion is kind of surprising considering I think there was 6 analysts that did join the earnings call. And plus there was many others that didn't, that typically always do give ratings, such as good old Adam Jonas with Morgan Stanley. But beside the point, you still do have the $4 321, which is very, very random. And that's Needham, Chris Pierce, and $3 price target from Robert Bard. So overall, it is what it is. Nothing really crazy, but then again, their earnings was somewhat neutral, fairly positive for the second half of this year, not necessarily this upcoming quarter. My own interpretation. Obviously some people might disagree and that's completely fine. But moving on, let's talk on some other data points, going over options. So $253,000 in calls being purchased versus 7.49 million in puts. Sentiment wise, very evenly divided. So 50% of all the options being done today were bearish. And of the call options though that were purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above $3. So fairly good upside. And then looking at the puts, you didn't really see anything in the short term. You see a lot of them kind of August and onwards. And based on that, it is anticipated for it to trend sub $2. So at least in the short term, it seems to be fairly safe, but someone is betting on, I guess, August going forward that Lucid is going to break down on the price wise. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. And even looking yesterday, you had a couple big ones. So 2.03 million. Today you had 1.14 million. And based on the bid, the asking and the selling price, a lot of good transactions, a lot of buys. And you can tell that based on anything that shows an ask. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So dark pool, as usual, very popular, linked to institutions as well as shorting. But without further ado, let's talk on some technicals. So with it closing at $2.71, it's kind of just stuck within this range. So this pivot to this R1, nothing really crazy. It did bounce off of this general area, so this pivot point. So we do know that's a very strong support. So yeah, I think that's kind of a good thing. But aside from that, $2.82 will be that next strong target. This whole week is more of a technical driven week. So hopefully with today's positive momentum and what came out, you should see this R1 potentially touched. And once that does get above that, then you'll see kind of the FOMO, what happened leading into Lucid's earnings. So hopefully that should come sooner rather than later. But moving on though, looking on the chart itself, still it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, below the 50-day moving average. So definitely we'll watch that in the next couple of trading days for it to test. Once again, you do see a bearish deviation on stochastic. So that is red line above the white. But beside the point, it is cooling off a little bit because it was very overbought, and that was leading into their earnings. So still this downtrend, somewhat good if you kind of think about it, bigger picture. And as well, leading into their earnings, it did actually run up quite a lot. So this consolidation is somewhat healthy if you want to consider it that way. And then aside from that, number of retail investors started to get back in today. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Did you buy today? Did you sell? What's your thoughts on those two pieces of news? Do you think that's good for bigger picture about the, I guess, range? Or what's your thoughts on Ronaldo? One last thing I just wanted to share with you. I'm actually heading on a quick trip, so I'll be gone. So it does look like there'll be a little bit of a hiatus on Lucid videos, so my apologies. If there's something dramatic that does come out, then I'll pop on through, I guess, just my phone and just record it that way, but probably won't be seeing all that much in Lucid content. Unless there's something substantial in the morning, maybe I'll do a quick video based on that, but I will be taking probably a little bit of a break with Lucid. Hopefully when I come back, it'll be $4 plus. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.